Hello, this is the first of a series of videos that I plan to do talking about God beyond religion and specifically eclectic spirituality. And what I want to be able to do is to examine my thought process. Not only have I deconstructed from evangelical Christianity, but I've actually reconstructed spirituality that comes from what I call eclectic or syncretistic spirituality. And it's based on the concept that the spiritual source, the creative source of the universe, is in fact consciousness. And that we are part and parcel of that consciousness. That is to say that we are conscious agents. And it is our consciousness that actually makes us be in the image of the Creator. And over the millennia, the creative source has given mystical revelation to individuals, and that mystical revelation is always influenced by the culture, the knowledge, the development of the culture. And so it is impossible to understand the totality of the message from source in some cultures. And I'm quite sure that that's still true today. One of the avenues that I have explored is spiral dynamics. And spiral dynamics actually shows that humanity has grown in stages over the millennium. But I think that the thing that has contributed the most to the growth is technology, the development of the personal computer, the development of the World Wide Web and the internet, the development of social media. And what has happened as a result of that is that ideas have become more global. And so people are less and less content to stay in a localized belief, especially when you can communicate with people all across the planet. And the fact is that the knowledge that is at the average person's fingertips now, with the World Wide Web and the internet and social media, is the knowledge that was previously only available to those that had a university degree. Very special people. If you weren't trained in the university, then you didn't have the knowledge that was available. And I contend that knowledge was limited even at that time. But now we have instantaneous information in this age. And it's interesting to me that the age of Aquarius is actually known to be an age where technology will advance. And actually, I think in terms of the prophet Daniel, in the 12th chapter of the book of Daniel. And I'm not suggesting that whoever wrote Daniel wrote this particular scripture for today. But I do believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there are fractals, which is recurring patterns that happen over and over and over again. And the fractals are just a natural occurrence of the world, the universe that we live in. And the Hermetic principle of as above, so below, as within, so without, lets me understand that not only are physical things, material things, fractal in nature, spiritual things and prophetic things are fractal in nature as well. And so that allows me to take a writing that Daniel had, or that somebody who purported to be writing for Daniel wrote down. And essentially what it says is this, and I'm not going to read it from the scripture, I'm going to paraphrase it. Daniel said, shut up the book, or shut up this scroll, or stop, seal it up. Seal up what I'm writing until the time of the end, or an appointed time that is coming. And then he went on to say the reason for that was that many would run to and fro, and knowledge would increase. Well, via the internet, we can run to and fro at our whim. I can view what's happening in England or other parts of the world, Australia. I'm not limited to geography. I'm not limited to locality. And so this concept is the concept that will explode, I believe. I believe that we haven't begun to see the result that will happen because of this technology. And if there isn't some cataclysm, then the advancement in knowledge will continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. Anybody can have a blog. Anybody can write down their ideas. And there are a lot of people who would be critical of that. But I am actually in favor of that, because I think that individuals have a lot to say, and that it doesn't any longer have to be just happenstance and luck. The person who decided in the beginning of their life that they were going to be an author, an influencer, or whatever, and struggled and wrote and wrote and wrote and finally found recognition. We live in an age where that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. A person can have ideas, and let's face it, there are internet things, sayings, TikTok videos, memes, quotes that every day go viral because they're caught on by a lot of people. And so what I want to do with this series is explore eclectic spirituality and exactly how ubiquitous this one single message of consciousness being the creative source permeates the history of mystical revelation. And that's true no matter where you look, as far as I'm concerned. It's in the Hermetica, which has its roots in Egypt, at least 5,000 years ago. It is restated with Pythagoras, who was said to have gone to Egypt and studied Egyptian wisdom. It was passed on to the Greeks, Plato, Heraclitus. Then it was passed on down to Philo, who was a Jewish philosopher at the time of Christ. And so it has been passed on throughout the millennia, and it is, in fact, a coherent, unified message. And the thing that may shroud that some is the local or the cultural aspects of it. The first concept that I want to introduce is the idea of the Logos. Logos is a Greek word, it means word, but it's more than that. Logos is actually spoken consciousness. And so there is a big to-do, of course, based on John's Gospel with the Logos in Christianity. But Christianity didn't invent the concept that the Logos was the creative source of the universe. As a matter of fact, it's believed by most scholars that John picked up the idea from students of Philo. There were many what they called Hellenized Jews in and out of Jerusalem during the time of Christ. And these folks were definitely exposed to Philo. So what I want to be able to do with this discussion is to show that not only is this concept in Western civilization, but it's an Eastern civilization. And more than that, I am just now beginning to explore the indigenous spirituality of the Americas. And it's there. It's everywhere that people could either tell stories or write. And so by that, it is truly a ubiquitous phenomenon. And that's really what I want to be able to cover with these videos, but I don't want them to run too long. And it looks like I'm already at 12 minutes, and quite frankly, I would have stopped it at 8 to 10, ideally. But I want to keep this thought going so that I can build on it, and so that we can examine just exactly how consciousness is the creative force in the universe. And so we'll be looking at the Hermetica, we'll be looking at the Tao, we'll be looking at Buddhism, we will be looking at some of the indigenous spirituality of the Americas, both North and South. And then we will also examine cognitive science and quantum mechanics and biological science, especially the theories of Rupert Sheldrake, who has postulized or theorized about fields of morphic resonance. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Greg Braden's book. It's a seminal work in this concept called The Divine Matrix, because I think that eclectic spirituality and God beyond religion hinges on one thing, and that one thing is the unified field of divine consciousness. And so I will take this up again, but this is the opening salvo for these discussions. And in the meantime, have just a really great evening, morning, day, whenever you're looking at this. Thank you.